It is late and I am tired. Let's go. Let's wrap this shit up. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Gia. I am a 26-year-old lady who lives in my mom's basement, and I want to talk about the books that I finished this week. I have not posted a reading vlog in a while because I have been super duper sick. I got COVID Super Bowl weekend and I started feeling sick the day after Valentine's Day. And as you can hear, I am still not fully not sick. The first thing I want to mention is that I finally attached my iPad mini to Wi-Fi for the first time in 3 years. So this was the first iPad mini that was ever manufactured. It has the same background as my phone. It's Van Gogh's almond blossoms. Anyway, I have not attached this little thing to Wi-Fi in like 3 years because it was manufactured in 2013 and thus it is 10 years old. So I was too afraid to attach it to Wi-Fi because I thought that it would kill itself. So it has kind of just become like my little device that has held all my old like ebooks that I pirated. Sorry, I had been saving up for a new iPad and I've just now decided that that's not going to happen for a while. So I thought, what could go wrong? And it works. So I've been using it to read. I actually updated it and it can only go to iOS 12. We are on iOS 16. It literally had to download old versions of the Kindle app and of the Audible app in order to work properly. But anyway, my iPad works. I finished 2 books this week. I finished Foul Lady Fortune by Chloe Gong on audiobook. I rated it 4.75 stars. I really liked it. The only reason I docked 1/4 of a star is because there were like 3 major twists and I kind of saw 2 of them coming. So I docked 1/4 of a star for that. But it's really not, I didn't consider it fully a part of the mystery subgenre. Like, it had mystery elements, but it was more of like a spy and espionage book. I really can't fault it for not being like a mystery I didn't see coming, or it wasn't like, you know, fully there for shock value. However, I did really like it. So if you are unaware, Foul Lady Fortune is the tale of our girl Rosalind. She is an immortal assassin by the name of Fortune. She works for the Nationalist Party of China. This is set in the mid-1920s in Shanghai. I listened to it on Audible and it was a much more worthwhile experience than reading it because I was getting really confused between people's aliases because our main girl's name is Rosalind, but she is going by an alias from the beginning of the story because Rosalind as a identity is dead and she is going by a new identity, and then she is also a spy, so she has other aliases and things that she is known for. So I was getting really confused when I was reading it that there were a lot of different identities and who was who and whose voices were who. So this was a multi-perspective story as well, so I was just getting really confused. So at about the 23% mark, I decided to put the ebook down and I picked it up on Audible. I used a credit and I started it over because I didn't really get super far, like maybe 1/4 of the way, and I blazed through it. It was much more worthwhile for me to listen to it. Sometimes stories are just easier to listen to than read, and this was just one of those instances. So this story is about our girl, Rosalind. She is permanently 19 years old because she is immortal. She has a twin sister who is a trans woman named Celia. And when Rosalind was really sick with scarlet fever, Celia took her to a doctor who was kind of a mad scientist who saved her from the scarlet fever, but also kind of made her into something new. From our understanding, the scarlet fever killed her, and then whatever the doctor gave her brought her back to life, and she is now effectively immortal, and now she is working for the Nationalist Party to kind of root out the last of those doctors that made her immortal because she has a bit of a vendetta against them. So there is a conflict between the nationalists and the communists, and then there is this overlooming threat of Japanese imperialism. There are a lot of themes pertaining to the Pan-Asian movement concerning about how Asia can be considered as one conglomerate, and about how other Chinese people wanted to be, you know, just Chinese, and then they were not wanting the Japanese to come in, but they also didn't want Western influence. So it was a lot going on with Chinese politics pertaining to their identity as Chinese people, whether or not they wanted to create alliances with other Asian countries or if they wanted to stand entirely on their own. So there was kind of a semi-Cold War between the nationalists and the communists. Rosalind's sister Celia is on the side of the communists, and Rosalind is, of course, on the side of the nationalists. But the two of them do communicate with each other secretly because they are sisters after all. And the main plot of the story is that Rosalind ends up with the son of a politician who is also a spy, who is also part of the Nationalist Party, whose brother is a part of the Communist Party, so same situation as Rosalind, and they get fake married to infiltrate a communist post and report back to the nationalists. There are a lot of drug killings that are going on in the Chinese sector of Shanghai where people are turning up dead via like drug injections, and they're not exactly sure what's going on there. So the nationalists want Rosalind and Orion, that's his name, to infiltrate this communist post and see if the communists are behind it. So again, super duper good. There were a lot of questions that were left unanswered pertaining to Rosalind's past that I was incredibly interested in. Hello, editing Gia here, and apologies for the late vlog, but I was not aware until deadass yesterday that Far Lady Fortune is a side series to these Violent Delights. I legit did not know that. I read Chloe Gong's backlog out of order. I had to cut out a whole bit of this discussion about Rosalind's past because it was all about her cousin Juliet, and I was like, yeah, maybe this will get uncovered in a later book. There was a duology all about it, and I had no idea that the two were connected. So I'm gonna have to push up these Violent Delights and Our Violent Ends up my TBR because I had no idea they were related. So that's exciting. But anyway, back to the reading vlog. Up next is the Atlas 6. The other thing that I finished this week was the Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. I will do a full video on this. The whole reason why I want to do a full video on this is because Olivia Blake originated in the fanfiction.net world. I don't know if she did anything else on any other site. I know her work distinctly as originating from fanfiction sites. I don't know how exactly public she is about this. This is not listed in any of her biographies or anything. She has self-published other things other than the Atlas 6 duology. Well, it's going to be a trilogy, but currently it's a duology. She has published other things like Alone with You in the Ether and My Mechanical Romance. I have not read those yet. Those are on my list for my backlog. Olivia Blake came from fanfiction.net. And I was a fanfiction.net girly. That is mother. She got me through so many things. Olivia Blake was very, very famous in Harry Potter fanfiction for Hermione pairings. I don't want to bring up the Queen of the Turfs on this channel. However, Harry Potter was very integral to me growing up, and I did indulge in Harry Potter fanfiction a lot through high school and college, a lot before a lot of things came out and I became uncomfortable engaging with the material. But for years, I was very, very deep into Harry Potter fan fiction. Now, of course, I don't engage with it at all. I haven't for several years. But Olivia Blake wrote a lot of things that were favorites of mine that were Hermione fan fiction and favorites for a lot of people. So I immediately was, of course, drawn to pick up works by her because I have read her work before. I will say that I saw that she doesn't have a very high rating for the Atlas 6 on Goodreads. A lot of people think that her writing is really pretentious. If you are not into purple prose or like this Oscar Wilde type of writing where you are talking about the philosophy of living and dying for 3 pages, then this is very clearly not for you. If you are not into characters that are all pretentious, characters that are all full of themselves, all characters who think they are the smartest person in the room, then this is very clearly not for you. Also, there is a lot of concepts that are, I would consider, very highbrow, like time and space and like aerodynamics, like things that are not common knowledge, like very, very niche subjects in the world of academia. If you don't know shit about those things, if you don't know shit about time travel or like interdimensional time and space, this could be very difficult for somebody to understand. I'm not saying people are stupid. It's just a fact. Like, if you don't know anything about multiple dimensions in physics, if it's not explained to you in basic terms, it will be hard for you to understand if you are not familiar with the subject. That's just fact. Because not every person is born to understand physics or calculus or interdimensional time and space. I have a couple of excerpts that I actually highlighted to show this because it's very hard to put into words without reading aloud. She understood, in a way that others did not, the existence of polarities, the mysticism of opposition, that acknowledging the presence of life meant accepting the presence of death, that knowledge necessitated ignorance, that gain meant loss. Ambition suggested contentment, in a sense, because starvation implied the existence of glut. If magic is the arrow and we are the archers, how much control do we have over its flight, but appear to have ultimately asked quite another, is magic the tool, or are we? This excerpt is really long, but I think this is also a really good example. When an ecosystem dies, nature makes a new one. Simple rules, simple concept, for which the society was proof itself. It existed from the ashes of its former self, atop the bones of things abandoned or destroyed. It was a secret buried inside a labyrinth, hidden within a maze. The society was built upon itself, higher and higher. It stood like Babel, reaching for the sky. Invention, progress, the building up of everything had no option but to continue. Something put into motion did not, of its own volition, stop. The trouble with knowledge, the idiosyncrasy of its particular addiction, was that it was not the same as other types of vice. Someone given a taste of omniscience could never be satisfied by the contents of a bare reality without it. Life and death, as once accepted, would carry no weight, and even the usual temptations of excess would fail to satisfy. The lives they might have had would only feel ill-fitting, poorly worn. Someday, perhaps quite soon, they might be able to create entire worlds, to not only reach, but to become like gods. Do you see what I mean? It's meandering. It's like philosophy. It's wandering around between point A and point B and back from point B to point A. The best way that I can describe this type of purple prose is that it is best performed live. It feels almost Shakespearean in that this is a style of writing that is meant to be spoken out loud, and when you read it, you feel like you're walking in circles. I felt like that when I was taking a lot of philosophy classes. I didn't understand how I was so good at writing philosophy papers because you just felt like you were walking back and forth between 2 points or 4 points that they made a square. And you just kept going in a circle in that square, that if point A leads to point B, then point B leads to C, to D, and then back to A. And then you feel like you have gone nowhere. It feels very cyclical, but it is also this meandering of thought coming around to a conclusion, like you are almost building like this logical pyramid of cards that if you take one card away, the whole thing falls. I think personally that if you listen to this, you will get more out of it because it is like, it almost feels designed to make you smarter. I would expect to be hearing this spoken out loud to me, like almost like poetry, almost like it's a performance. It's being in people's heads as they're thinking about conflicts. It's thinking about, not everything has a right answer. Not everything is good. Everything comes at the detriment to something else. Everything has a consequence, and thinking about all those consequences. And it's very, very cyclical. And to some people, it's very, very boring. I don't think that it's boring, but this is also my writing style. I do tend to write in purple prose myself. That kind of wandering around to the point until we get there. If that is not for you, you will not enjoy the Atlas 6. And I think that's why a lot of people don't like the Atlas 6, because it is not, I don't want to say accessible. I don't want to say that the writing style is inaccessible to some people, but it kind of is. If you are not into that kind of writing, you will not connect with this. That's just point blank period. Some people just like that easygoing experience of person A says thing to person B, and person B says thing to person A, and that is okay. Sometimes you don't like to read about characters who all believe they are the smartest person in the room, And honestly, sometimes they are a little bit pretentious and ridiculous, but it's really all about what you like personally. And I will, probably rehash a lot of this and basically do this whole bit over again in the Atlas 6 video, but it is honestly how I feel about it. I would highly recommend it to you. I did rate it 5 stars. So, but I'm also a Olivia Blake super fan. So I stan anything that woman writes. Anyway, that is all for me. I am so sorry that I have been gone, but I have been so super sick. Oh my God. So I am going to go ahead and get ready for bed because it is 1:06 in the morning and I have to be awake for work because I picked up a Monday morning shift because I need money. But I did get a huge raise at work. So there is that. So if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you'd like to find me anywhere else, you can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram. I will be getting back to streaming once or twice a week, hopefully this week. So I'm going to try to get that ball rolling to kind of get back to a little bit more of a schedule. Remember to drink water and be nice to each other and exude kindness and empathy with everything that you do. And I will see you in the next video.